Hi everyone.
Mhm. Hi.
So this week we were going to be sharing about how to manage like anxiety and stress, and like how to ease it on a daily basis, and even better how to kind of prevent going into states of like feeling stressed or holding on to anxiety. It's something that like it's everyone's talking about it. It's always out there, but like I think we learn to live with like quite a lot of stress hanging over us, and just kind of accept it. I wanted to share anyway. This is something that I'm realizing within myself and all this the research I'm doing. It's just like it's not good for us. It's really not good. It's almost like especially in like when you're running a business or you're living in a city, it's like, oh yeah, but that's expected, that's that's how it is. Like we shouldn't be expecting it, and we shouldn't be like kind of like swallowing it down and carrying on, and putting on the mask, and even though however you're feeling, it's really important to like address how we're feeling, feel it fully, and then just let it go, like let the stress go, and have practices to really let stress pass through us and not hold on to it. Because like, so for me right now, I'm going through endometriosis. It's now the second year that I no third year of having it, and it's because of I had low level stress that I was just putting up with and dealing with because I was doing so much of my business. Then COVID happened. I paused the business, went back into my old job, and that was like high stress, massive high stress for a year. Well, I think I lasted about 6 months with that. And then the stress of, I guess, being out of work, and the guilt of not being there, and blah blah blah. That threw my body into this like really unhealthy state, I guess, of just pure stress. And now I'm dealing with the consequences of that, which is chronic pain. And there's research now that's showing that people with just stress, like kind of a high level of stress, it's leading to health conditions, whether that's kind of like depression or anxiety, which is where we've just kept on with stress for so long, or even other things like endometriosis. And there's a lot of conditions where they're realizing stress is actually one of the components of why it's come about. Even MS, in some of the books I've been reading, like that can be, it's been seen as a component that that person is being kind of really tense and shut down because of holding on to stress. It has an impact on our nervous system because we're always in this fight flight mode. We're always in the survival mode, and it's then having an impact on your immune system because you're inflamed, you're run down, and then that has an effect on the digestive system, endocrine system. All the systems start shutting down. So it's definitely, even though it seems like a little bit stressed, it's okay, I can deal with it. That on a daily basis builds up and it kind of wears our body down. So yeah, as much as it's probably something you hear a lot, we thought it was important to share. But we're still experiencing the repercussions, I think, of COVID, and what living in a lockdown was like for us, and the whole chain of reactions away from that. We're still kind of dealing with that mentally as well. So this is going to have an impact on how we're feeling and the stress we're holding.
Yeah, and they say, don't they, as well, that stress is the number one killer. Um, and I think, a lot of people, well, in this day and age as well, you can never really get away from work, can you? We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, as well? Like you just, if you go on holiday, like if you think like back in the day when we were kids, like we were adults back then, but you'd go on holiday, you wouldn't have mobile phones. So you would actually have a holiday, wouldn't you? You'd have 2 weeks off from work. You wouldn't have anyone like saying, oh, can you help me out with this or blah 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 blah. There's no social media. You would just have 2 weeks completely off. Whereas now, because you've got your phones, most people got their emails on their phones, you got social media, and I'm like people contact me by Messenger and Instagram. I get emails, I get WhatsApps, I get texts, and you can't really. It's really difficult to get away from it, and it's really difficult to shut off. And I think
Yeah.
that's like just so hard nowadays, and people feel guilty for it as well. Like I feel guilty if it's a weekend and I haven't looked at my work phone all day, and I look on it and I've got all these texts, these WhatsApps and stuff, and it's just like, God, you really can't have a day off, can you? Without, because people just expect it, don't they? They expect you to be 24/7. But I think we almost need to take it right back, don't we? To 20 years ago and just go, great, you have a day off, you actually have a day off. Yeah, you have a holiday, you have a holiday. If you're sick, you're
Yeah.
sick. Like, just because you're at home ill doesn't mean that means that expectation is that you log on. And I think that the expectation of, on today's society just makes people feel anxious and stressed. And I hope, in a way, it's something that employers are recognizing that it's not okay. And I know a lot of employers put this work-life balance stuff in, but again, it's like, but are they really, like respecting it, or are they just doing it because it looks good and because they think that's what they need to do? I'm still not sure too much about that one.
But I guess it starts with us, doesn't it, to really be disciplined and, set these healthy boundaries and set the expectation. Like on a weekend, I don't work, or after 6, I switch the phone off, or, like I guess put in these expectations, yeah, that people have to respect that. And I guess with family and stuff as well. So I think this is the thing. It's like, I guess there's two ways of looking at it. There's preventing even getting into these states of feeling stressed and stuff. So by setting those expectations, it means people aren't putting pressure on us. But then also, when you do have like that surge of stress, when you've got like an interview, or you have to deal with someone who is going to create stress or whatever, you've got like go-to tools that can really help you just like let it go and feel it, punch a pillow or whatever you got to do, and then just be like, okay, that's it, let it go. But I think we're too much now in the habit of putting on a brave face, putting on the mask, like, okay, now I'm at work, hi everyone, like all the different things, but the stress is still there, and it's just kind of like bury it, deal with the thing, maybe not even having the opportunity to kind of release it afterwards, and it keeps kind of getting buried. Or yeah, and this whole like good vibes only type of thing, which is not healthy. Or like, I can't even remember the other thing I was going to say. Yeah, but we are kind of expected to trying to just hold on to this stress, and I think this is my concern, which I realized I was doing, is this low level stress. Like we're living in these times now where, like you said, we've got this constant barrage of things at us. Like even though my phone's off, I don't have notifications going off on it now. I just know when I open it, there's going to be lots of things I need to deal with. So even though it's not there, it's there, and it's like that kind of like the tension that it creates. But there, one thing I realized recently, someone described it. See that my phone just flashed on there, and then that takes your attention away. It's so easy to get distracted. This sense of urgency, like when you've got emails coming in, you've got all these chains of communication where you feel like I've got to attend to all these, if you're in, if it's your business, or even just friendships, like, oh my God, I've got WhatsApp messages I haven't responded to from like a week ago, but I've got to like prioritize everything with my time. That's low level stress. That's something that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And it's not stressing us to the point where we need to see a counselor therapy, but we're maintaining it. And like some of the things I wrote down thinking about it, having an overactive mind, that's low level stress, where we've got a lot on our minds, and as a business owner, or even a woman in general, I think, who maybe has kids, or has got a lot going on, we've got such a busy mind. Anyone with a busy mind, that's low level stress. Multitasking as well, like if we're doing something, but then we've got our mind on something that we need to remember, something that we need to do in the future, like this is splitting our attention and our energy, and that is low level stress. And yeah, like thinking of future events like way ahead of the time, and like having worries about family, like all of these things are this kind of like this noise in the background that doesn't really disturb us too much, so we carry on, but it's adding the weight on the our shoulders, and we're kind of carrying this low level stress, and all you need is these big bigger chunks of stress adding to it, and then you start to get like a system that's really kind of under tension.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think we've got some good ways that, well, or techniques that we use that I think will hopefully help other people as well. Because I think there's people have different stress levels as well. I mean, my daughter's nearly 2, and yesterday was horrendous with the tantrums, stress levels off the roof. All I wanted to do was go and sink a bottle of wine, but I didn't because I'm not turned into an alcoholic because of her. But it's so easy to just go out and reach for things like that. But yeah, and just I think my stress levels and being able to cope with more stress because I've been exposed to more stress, but that's not a good thing. But I think, yeah, some of the things that you could do are quite easy and maybe a bit weird. I know for me, like one thing that really helps is literally just laying on flat out on the floor. Preferably outside, because I just feel like just anchored and just nice deep breaths. If it's a nice day as well, brilliant. If you've got kids or whatever, you just I mean, I just put her in the playpen, which we started calling prison, which we shouldn't. So I'm like, get into prison, and she goes into prison to dip it up. She loves it though. And then just go and take just 5 minutes just to lay there, just lay down flat, starfish, and honestly, it just really helps. Nice deep breaths. So that's one weird thing, which I guess not many people probably do, but it does help me.
But you know what? It's not weird. It's like, how can I put it? It's grounding, isn't it? So there's a practice called grounding where you should be putting your bare feet or even your whole body, even better, onto the earth, because the earth holds energy, and I guess we're so disconnected from it because we're always on concrete or in our house. We're not properly grounded onto the earth. Like it has a magnetic field that we're connected to, or however it works. So that makes sense. Yeah. And yeah, that's a good tip.
Good one to try.
Yeah.
And my other one is cuddles. I mean, I think I said ages ago, I do love a cuddle me. And if my partner's not there and my daughter's not that cuddly, I've always got the dog who's massive. She's like a small child. She's like 34 kilos, but she gives the best cuddles, and it's just that connection, whether it's to, a pet or a human, that just really soothes you, doesn't it? A good cuddle. So
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, those two things are the two top things that help me. Don't reach for the wine or the cigarette, because that's just going to get you in a whole world of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. But the sad part is that's the tools that are made readily available to us in this society. It's like, and it's kind of conditioned us, isn't it? If you watch soaps or whatever and they're having a bad time, it's like reach for the wine, and it's kind of instilled in us that here's a tool that can help you with your stress, help you, calm down. And so it's not surprising it can be really easy for us to use that as a go-to. But these other things are just as easily there, but we're just, I guess we're taught to see them as quite fluffy or whatever. But like when you were saying about the cuddles as well, like it's a scientific fact that releases like a love drug, a love hormone in our body called oxytocin. They say I think it's like a 10-second hug, which actually if you try and do it feels quite a long time. Especially if it's someone you don't really know. But yeah, like a 10-second hug, because I mean, there's a lot I love about this, but I think it's the electromagnetic field around the heart connecting together that release this. So that's why it kind of happened. But yeah, like they say as well, in order to really kind of, I can't think of what the statement is, but in order to keep healthy and happy, they recommend, I think it's 8 to 10 hugs a day, which most people probably don't get. Which is why it's important for us to have community and be around other people, because I think that just shows, when you're isolated, why that does feel like hard and you feel cut off and you can be then stressed and anxious, is because you haven't got that connection. So it's really important, anyway, I could go on with that could be live in itself. But yeah, like, so my one that I use a lot is nostril breathing. So this is like a really amazing feels very basic. And for ages, like when I've been going through kind of this stress with my health at the moment and trying to get back into doing my business, and it feels so overwhelming, like all the time, I have to stop myself and just be like, okay, take breaths. And actually, before it felt so basic, I was overlooking it. But I've been doing this a lot. And actually, there's a technique, it's called alternate nostril breathing, which is really amazing because it kind of you're bringing air through one nostril and out through the other, and then you're moving it around, and it actually coordinates the right and left hemispheres of the brain, and that's why it kind of really calms you. After like 1 minute of this, you'll really notice a difference in that you're just like letting go, and then it kind of distracts our mind from whatever is happening, but then it also kind of, I think it kind of recalibrates us, like that thing seems like the most important thing, and it's heightened in our mind. After doing this kind of breathing, it kind of regulates it and puts it into perspective of, actually, this isn't that big a deal. It seems to like really center you. So to do it, you literally just cover one nostril, you breathe through that. They seem to always start with the left nostril. Breathe through that first nostril, you cover that nostril, and then you breathe out through the opposite nostril. So that's the right one. Breathe back in through that same nostril, and then switch. And then you go in and out. So you're just doing that. Closing your eyes even better, because you kind of just go within then, and you just shut out the external. But even better than that, without the hands even, you can just focus on the dominant nostril that you seem to feel the air go through more. So for me, it's the right nostril. So I'll breathe in and out through that nostril, and then I'll just breathe in, and then I'll intentionally breathe it out through the opposite nostril, and then in through the opposite nostril, out through. So you're just doing that, and it's just moving the attention away. If you have a panic attack or you're in like real stress, this will actually start to ease out the panic attack, and then you'll start to just go back into being present, and yeah, so it shifts that feeling. So that for me is like the best one.
I suppose if you're struggling to sleep at night, you could do that when you're in bed as well, and that should help.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other things. Mindfulness is like the main thing. I guess with your two things you said, it's a very mindful thing to do, is to think, right, what do I need right now? And just go and get it for yourself and give it yourself. And this breathing as well, it's very mindful. Like our breath is the core, the essence of us, it's our life force, literally, but we just don't take any time to connect with it. So yeah, this for me is like the best thing to really connect to is your breathing. Meditation is a great one as well. Exercise is obviously another thing, like just moving yourself. One thing I really love, and I teach my clients, if you're in a situation of real stress, so if something has really hit you, someone might have said something, you've just come out of an interview, or you're about to go into one, and you can feel yourself kind of tensing up, shaking. So just shaking it out, just being like, oh God, they pissed me off, or whatever. Just shake it out. This is what animals do when they get stressed, and they've gone into that fight flight response. They shake the stress out, and then they just go on about their day. I don't know if you've ever seen ducks where they have like a bit of a fight, they shake it out. Cats do it, loads of animals, and like we need to do that too, and that just literally releases it physically and energetically, like from your body. So that's a really good one as well.
Ah, well, hopefully we've got some good tips, I think, for everyone. So yeah, put them in place, see how you get on. And
let us know. Let us know how you get on.
Yeah.
Friday midday, come and join us.
Yeah. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.